Welcome to the Hawaiian Art Museum and our Wednesday evening talk story. My name's Serge Kahili King. I'd also like to do a blessing to begin the evening with. And Michael, you haven't done a blessing in a long time. Would you like to do that, please?
I'm going to turn my phone off first.
Yes, please. Yeah, I've got to get used to reminding people of that.
Everything. Thank you, Serge. Oh boy, just a little stress. We're going to do a blessing of presence today. And what I mean by presence is that we all have a sense of our own presence within our own self, you know. Sometimes we don't have that presence because we're distracted or we're thinking about something else. Sometimes it's very powerful. And in certain traditions, one of the ways that you really bring yourself into the proper moment is a sense of presence and a sense of posture. And in fact, in Tibetan Buddhism, they say that if you just assume the posture, you're already going to be in the state of presence. So that's, you might need a little bit of work to get there, but that's what I want to do. I want to sort of claim that presence here tonight. So everyone can just close their eyes. This is kind of like family. Okay, so we're just going to close our eyes and we are going to visualize ourselves standing at the edge of a huge valley. And we're on the edge of the mountain or the cliff. Nothing too dangerous, plenty away from the edge, but we're looking out over this huge valley. And there's a little bit of a breeze. The sun is bright but not hot. And as we take some very deep breaths and relax and sort of just be loose physically a little bit, we have this feeling, this vital feeling of life. And that feeling that, this moment could be the best moment I've ever had in this whole life. Right here, right now. Just having this feeling, looking out over all this that is vast, representing, of course, everything that's inside that's also vast. And just claiming ourselves as a life form, as a human being, as a vital, bright, light, powerful experience of being right here in this moment as we claim our heritage as humans on this beautiful planet we live on. Come on.
Mahalo. Okay. Now we'll get into the talk story part of the evening where we talk about Hawaiian culture, history, legend, language, healing, and the philosophy that we call Huna, based on 7 ideas about life. That the world is what you think it is, there are no limits, energy flows where attention goes. Now is the moment of power. To love is to be happy with. All power comes from within, and effectiveness is the measure of truth. We talk about all these things in the way that I was brought up in this knowledge, and that's by question and answer. But sometimes we start off with a little bit of Hawaiian culture. I mean, it's all about Hawaiian culture, but I mean a little special kind of historical bit about the culture. And so tonight, we're going to have just a little bit about the way the ancient Hawaiians used to dress and how that form of dress has evolved into the way a lot of people in the islands today dress. Now in old Hawaii, they had a particular type of dressing where they would use a cloth called bark cloth in English, and this was made from the bark of a tree that was pounded and softened and pounded together until the fibers all got pretty strong, and then it got strong enough to actually be treated like a cloth. It could be cut, stamped, dyed, and twisted and tied and worn in a whole number of different ways. Now there's different names for the kind. We're going to talk particularly about the kinds of clothing the women wore first and now wear. There's a type of clothing called a sarong, made really famous in the world, in the Western world, by Dorothy Lamour, and a bunch of movies that she made in the 1930s and 40s about the South Pacific. And the actual sarong, the word comes from Malaysia. It's a Malay word. And it was really just a wraparound skirt. That's all it was. And we find this very popular in Micronesia and all throughout Polynesia in the old days. All it was just a wraparound. And in Hawaii, the name for this, which is often mispronounced today, its English letters are P-A-U, but not quite so simple, because we don't want to say pau, because that means finish. We don't want to say pa'u, because that means sooty, or it means drudgery work. We don't want to say pa'u, because that means moist and damp. We want to say pa'u, because that means skirt. Today, we hear it sometimes when we have the festivals, because that word is used to describe the skirts worn by the women horseback riders. In fact, they even call them the pa'u riders. But it really means just a simple wraparound skirt. And it's the Hawaiian word for what we've come to know today, the Tahitian word, pareo. That's the Tahitian word. And that's become kind of the most popular, mainly because something about English speakers, they don't like to say difficult things. And pareo is a lot easier to say than pa'u. Okay? So that's pareo is the word that's used today, and so for the rest of this talk, we'll use it. Basically, not much to talk about in the old days. It was a wraparound skirt. The only other thing is, when women had to, depend on whether they were commoners or nobility, the difference had to do with the kind of tree that the skirt was made from, because that determined how strong and actually how water resistant it was. Because the typical commoner skirt, why, if you went swimming or bathing or wading across a river in that, it would disintegrate. So before they went wading across a river, they'd take it off, bundle it up, put it on top of their head, and cross the river. It was polite for the men not to look at those times, because although their love life was a lot more generous than the ones we're used to today, they still had certain kapus or taboos on not seeing the breast, but seeing the rest of the body. That was kapu. Okay, so the men weren't supposed to look at that. But if otherwise, they'd have to hold it above their head. The finer type of tapa cloth or bark cloth used could be immersed in water over and over again, maybe half a dozen or more times before it would start to wear. It was a very fine type of cloth. But now we're going to go into the modern times and talk about the pareo a bit, which is kind of like the descendant of the pa'u. Okay? So we're going to have a little demonstration with some volunteers on different ways, not a lot of them, just a few different ways to tie the pareo. Now, first of all, if anybody here has a favorite way that you know how to do easily, why, come on up, because I know some, but I'm not a master of this. So would anybody like to demonstrate a way of tying and wearing the pareo? While you're thinking about it, I'll do a men's style. Would you like to do it? Let me do a men's style first.
You have one with, you have one?
Yep, I got pareos here. Okay. So, if you're not familiar with the word, those of you who might be watching this in other parts of the world, why, it's a piece of cloth, usually this length, with designs of different kinds on it. This one is a very simple, subtle design, a fish design. Sometimes they're brilliantly colored. They got lots of different things. But one of the simple designs could be for a man and a woman. A woman would have to wear a top, but basically, this is a little long for this, so you'd have to fold it over. And basically what you do is you take one end of it and you tie it to this end like this. Okay? Then you take this piece out here and you fold it in once like this, And you can actually fold it in twice if you want to. You can get the cloth to do it right. And then you bring it over here like this, and you tuck it in. And then you got a real nice looking pareo if you do it right. Okay? Now what's interesting is that for a woman, I'll demo being a woman for a moment. Done that in other lives, so I have a little familiarity. Is you do it in the same way, but you do it up here. So you do it above the breasts. And again, you tie this nice and tight. And then you do this same thing. You take it out like this. Here you'd usually only fold it once. And then you turn it and you fold it into the top like that. Okay? And it presents a real nice looking dress. Okay? Yes.
Actual women wear it a little differently.
Well, I've seen that style in Tahiti.
Yeah, anyway, this way, if you do it like this, and tie it here to one side,
Show the camera.
then you can take this piece and bring it over here, underneath, and bring it up with a little point. And that covers you a little bit better,
And that's another style.
so that when you walk
Right.
and the wind blows, it doesn't blow open.
Thank you very much. That's another nice style. Okay.
Fern taught me that one. So Fernie, you know another way to do it, don't you?
You know another one? Oh, sure.
Well, I
She's
have
probably...
a few ways, although the ways that you were just doing are the favorite ways that I have of doing it too.
Okay.
Actually, the way
Face,
you were...
turn around.
The way you were doing it the first time, well, I'm short too. But if you fold it over so that you have a little bit of a hem on the inside, and then you bring it down like you were doing it, Serge. So you got that on both sides. And then if you, like Serge was doing, if you take the end on one side, and you don't come to the very end on the other side, you actually let that drape fall down. And so then you can tie it on the side like this. Actually, it's actually better if you do it on the side like this, so that's the side that you have the little bunch part. Then you can actually just even wear it like that. And it's kind of graceful because it makes this kind of side thing that hangs down, and that's nice. And it may open just a little bit, but it's really nice wearing it like that with a bathing suit, something so that you don't mind too much of a little bit of leg shows. With that.
Okay. Why don't you stay up here? I'll show you another one.
Okay,
you're
I'll
doing
let you
it.
show me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay. So a very common way to wear it, that people wear it, but I personally don't necessarily like it worn for myself that way. But, and this would be also if you're wearing like, say a bathing suit or a pair of shorts or something, so that you don't have to worry too much about the bottom part of you. But people will take this like this, cross it, and then put it around their neck and the back and tie it like that. And so that's a cute way to wear it too. You have to not be concerned about having something around your neck though. Sometimes I find it a little constricting.
Suji, I want to show you a jacket technique.
Oh, I love the jacket. Yeah, show how to do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, of course, Lois is the queen of the
Pareo.
salon. Because this is just fabric, what she's wearing.
When I'm home, I wear one pareo. When I am at the beach, I sometimes wear two pareos, but not always. No, maybe at the beach I'm one. Home, I'm two pareos. When I go out, I have to have at least three pareos. And when I'm really fancy, I have 4 pareos on.
How many
So
do you have tonight?
I have 3 pareos on tonight. What I would ordinarily have would be another pareo that's just draped around my neck this way, and that would be 4 pareos. But this is 3 pareos, and 3 pareos makes a jacket that I'm wearing here that's kind of tied in the back like that. And what you do is you take your rectangular piece, the long waist, and you put the two ends together. So it's folded. And there's a crease at this side, and the loose ends at this side. Then you take these two ends and you tie a knot. And then you have a basic jacket. Once opened up, and then you can either put a clasp, which I have a clasp that's made out of shell, or you can get a bamboo clasp and make a tie right here, and then that makes the jacket.
Or you can wear it open.
Or you can wear it open.
There we go.
So I have one pareo tied at my waist underneath, one pareo tied at my top, and then the jacket. There's another way to make a jacket that's fun.
I can see tomorrow everybody's going to be trying to make their own.
It's to take it the long ways and to tie these two ends together. Now this is a very large piece of cloth. Typically a pareo would not be quite so long. So you have a knot tied at this end, and then you take a knot and you take the two ends and tie them together at this end. Vern will probably swim in this. So that you put your arm here, and you put your arm in there, and it becomes a jacket.
Like a kimono.
Like a kimono. Yeah.
Cute.
Let me show you a third jacket. These are good. This is good. Thank you for that. Thank you. Angel, come on up here. We're going to try this. I've seen this, never tried it before. And it's supposed to be very simple. Once we untie this. Oh, put your arms up. Give me the ends. Okay. Okay. And so?
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
So there's another one.
Turn around, it makes a difference. The back is open. See, with my technique, it would have been tied up back here like this.
Right, right.
And with this, it leaves a scoop connection.
It's an open
back.
technique.
Interesting. Wow.
Okay.
For a very low back.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. This, however, this particular jacket style can be worn with any kind of outfit. Okay, it looks good with practically anything. Okay. Now let's see. There's one other style. Would you like to come up, Lois, one time? I'd like, because I want to try this one. We're going to tie this one around the back of your neck. Okay?
This is what goes under the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we were just This is the swimsuit.
Okay.
Swimsuit, so if you don't have a swimsuit, you can always...
Can you bring it under?
...on and go swimming.
Okay. This has to be,
You have to be really...
yeah, right, this has to be a little longer for Rayo, but basically it's like that.
Hey, but I can do it, look at it.
Yeah.
That's right, very good, very good. Okay.
What inspired you, Serge?
Beauty always inspires me. Okay. All right, so there's a little bit about the pareo and about some of the ways it's being used today. And the wonderful thing about this simple rectangular piece of cloth is you can be just as creative as you want to. And these are only a few of the styles that are used for this descendant of the pa'u. Okay. All right. Yes.
I know that like in Hawaiian, there are hundreds of words for the winds.
Yes.
okay? And, but for a skirt, there's just one word.
One word.
Because in hula, the hula skirts is the same word too.
That's right. Pa'u.
So I guess that skirts just didn't have the same kind of significance as wind.
Well, it had significance. It's very interesting. In one of the legends of Hi'iaka, who was the sister of Pele, when Pele was sending her from the Big Island all the way back over to Kauai to pick up Pele's lover, Lohiau, and bring him back. See, Pele could fly over in spirit, but Hi'iaka had to come in human form all the way and back because she was bringing the human back, and she didn't have all the powers that Pele did. But Hi'iaka was a little worried because she was going to have to go through some dangerous places. So she got some magical powers from, and one of the legends calls her a sister of Pele, who was Kapo. And Kapo had a lot of magical powers. And so she gave Hi'iaka some magical powers. She gave her a magical pa'u. And her magical pa'u, whenever, that's very interesting, there's got to be a lot more to it in the legend, that kind of like a code word or something. But when she would flap her pa'u, it would create lightning that would go out and blast her enemies. Okay? So I thought that was really interesting. Okay? I'm not sure what the connection was, but that was the magical pa'u, the magical skirt of Hi'iaka. Okay? All right, yes.
You want another use for it? When we were in Tahiti, I'll never forget, we were down at the beach in Tahiti, and these young girls came up, and they were all wearing their pa'u, but then they took it off, and it became their beach towel.
That's right.
You know, so
That's true.
it's a thing for
It's used down there for that. That's right. Okay. All right. Let's sort of orient the questions around the concept tonight of the idea, the third principle of Huna, actually, which is that the energy flows where attention goes. Energy flows where attention goes. And let's start looking at this in terms of life, in terms of healing, in terms of solving problems, in terms of tying pareos. It really doesn't matter. Anything will apply. If, let's just take a simple example, if you really got interested in this concept of the pareo that we're just talking about, some interesting things would start to happen. One of them is you might be interested enough to go start looking it up and start finding pictures, start discovering the ways that other people have tied it, suddenly start paying more and more attention to people who are wearing pareos,